Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we are back to another live stream slash recording session. Today is April 12th if you're watching this in the recorded format, and we've got just a little bit of work to do here. Let's see, we need to trade out some quests. Let's see, play 30 warrior class cards versus win 2 games with a druid or a hunter. Let's get rid of this one. We didn't get the best trade, and I do believe I actually traded a 50 down to a 40. Deal 100 damage to an enemy heroes, play 30 warrior class cards. This will be the first daily quest we've had since the deck rebuild that builds around playing warrior cards. So that'll be interesting, and then play 50 mage class cards. So this should be a shorter live stream in general. We also have the tavern brawl, so let's start with that. What do they want us to do today? Valyria has stolen spells from every class and filled your deck with them. Each minion summons a random minion of the same each spell. Okay, this is the one where you cast a spell, and whatever spell you cast, you get the same cost of random minion. So this will be interesting as far as the live stream. The past, almost every live stream I've done up to this point, people have gotten on. Loki particular has been very good to get on. I assume he's just got a lot of free time. So we're playing as Valyria. We didn't even have a chance there. But other people certainly are getting on too. It usually occurs, though, that people hop onto the live stream a little bit late into it. I'm not sure I'm even going to go an hour and a half here. My news board is full, but it's really stretched out to be full. And I put a lot of things that normally I would just not mention on the list. And so that's also an issue. I could play the coin and use the weapon there. I don't see that as a reason. I went through my collection of cards and decided to mark all the new ones as not new because there was a bug that changed that. Deal 2 damage. So do I want to do this? I think I do.
Job's done.
So now I've got a couple of characters and a different weapon. Deal 3 damage, put this deck into... put a roaring torch in your deck that deals 3. Got a lot of spells going on here. Ooh, who's this guy? Divine Shield Taunt. Damage dealt to this minion also hurts your hero. Interesting. Can I combo anything here? Not really, so we do this, this, and then this. And see, now this is the perfect character to have in this quest. Let's just kind of go through the news here. If nobody gets on, like, in time, then this is going to be about an hour and 30 minutes at most, and that's fine. I have plenty of extra videos from other live streams. I'm just getting further and further ahead with that. The editing, certainly, I do recognize when we start seeing some of those releases, is gonna be an interesting thing, because it's very possibly gonna look a little bit different on with the HD version, since I'm using a simplistic program called MP4 Splitter and MP4 Joiner to cut one long video into different sections. OBS by itself doesn't really have a way. Well, it probably does, and I just don't know it, to break the videos apart in the middle of recording. So when I look at the videos, it seems like the first frame is just black because they're trying to find a keyframe that's missing. The audio seems to mostly work, but I really won't know until somebody else watches it. 2 damage to all enemies? Sure. Then this. And then what? They're gonna kill my guy, darn it. Let's just start going through the news, I guess. Because of this, Alan Wake Max Payne developer Remedy is going to return to PlayStation development after 10 years. So, I mean, after 10 years, though, I think that puts them right where they probably decided not to make any PlayStation 3 games. Or maybe they made one early PlayStation 3 games, then they stopped and now they're making PlayStation 4 games, which makes a lot of sense, honestly. Transform your mana into 2/2 things. Deal 1 damage if it kills a draw a card.
That's not a valid target.
I can't do that. I can't target him either. So I'd have to do something like this. Then this.
No. Trust me.
Then deal 2 damage. Do this. And do I have anything else I can do? Nope. So let's just kill this guy in the turn. The Rick and Morty virtual reality game is coming out for VR, Oculus and Vive on 4/20, April 20th. With the April Fool's Day sneak peek of the new season of Rick and Morty, there's a lot more interest in Rick and Morty, personally, for me and for a lot of other people, because we all kind of knew the next season was going to come out, but frankly, I'm still waiting for the next few episodes of the Venture Brothers, which they take so freaking long. I just don't even know if they're going to make any more or not. And so, yeah, the fact that it actually came out on April Fool's and now we kind of know when the next season is, that'll be interesting. Unfortunately, it's kind of like the Doctor Who series, where when the new series comes out, we're going to all enjoy it and love it, but the truth is, it's also going to represent just the beginning of something else, because we'll have to wait after that season for another incredibly long amount of time. And the only thing they can really do about that is throw more money to pay more animators to maybe use the system that South Park does, and get those comics turned around pretty fast. Simpsons, on the other hand, doesn't really do that, so they have a schedule and they come out consistently when there's a new Simpsons episode, but they don't really reference things. The only thing they could really do is maybe get a little bit smart and cheeky about ADRing, doing audio replacement of one line or so of a relatively new reference. Set the minions attack and health to 10. Okay. How about that?
Put your faith in the light.
So, what really gets me, I don't know why they threatened at the end. You've already lost. What really gets me about the Rick and Morty VR thing is more of just an element of I would really like to see some of the at least moderately good VR games somehow turned into regular games, and see if we can pull away from VR, since in my mind VR has completely failed at this point. I wouldn't be surprised if every single card here is just going to get turned to dust, but that's kind of where we are at with getting classic card packs. Yeah, all 5 of them get turned into 40 dust, which gives me 100, which the only things I could craft, let's see if I just go all cards and go into crafting mode at 100. I probably could find something to craft with the new expansion. But I don't know if I would want to. Journey Turn Guru, Battle Cry, trigger a friendly minion's death rattle. See, I'm a little disappointed in my money situation, and I'm giving it a thought here. I opened up 50 packs. I did really good in opening up those 50 packs, but I kind of wish I could have opened up 100 packs. And because of that, while there definitely is the temptation of spicing things up and doing arena runs and trying to win, I'm not at that point right now where I should. I should consider it after playing a lot of ranked play and a lot of just standard and wild gameplay. If I find my decks somehow start to win a lot, then I guess it doesn't even matter with arena decks. Yeah, that's kind of the thing is, it's not about my decks needing to win more. It's about me personally needing to be a better player and winning in arena things and being able to focus and do that. And until I can do that, I don't know how we fix this. There's one more we can do. There's about 4 characters I could make with 100 dust. Well, I could unlock, and that's kind of how I look at it, is if you craft the first one, that it probably unlocks something in the Hearthstone servers to tell them that, alright, you can give a second copy to that guy for a lot cheaper. So I've already paid for 1 arena, but I kind of want to be at 100,000. Like, not 5,000 in 4 months when we're in the expansion. I kind of want to be at 100,000. And if I can even get up to 15,000, that would be even nicer. Because whatever the next expansion is, unless they start doing something amazingly obvious with it, I don't know if the next expansion is going to be any better or worse than the one we got. Let's see. Let's do warrior cards. And because of that, let's see, weapons is probably not the best warrior card class. But enrage, let's see, or taunt. Let's just play enrage taunt. So yeah, I'd like to see VR things fixed. I want to get up to 10,000 gold, and then maybe at that point I'll see if we're gonna open up more than 50. Even the Hearthstone themselves seems to only imply that you should start with 50 when you're opening it, although in reality I think you're somewhere closer to 300 or 400 packs to get everything just in non-gold versions. But maybe there's some way you would get ahead of the curve. Like, if I had all gold versions of classics right now, and I continued to get classic packs in games, in just weekly tavern brawls or such, then that might go towards dust that might be very useful to get in the next expansion. But yeah, that's all up in there. Microsoft is moving on the news. Microsoft is adding a self-service refunds almost exactly like Steam's, I think. If not exactly like Steam's. You have in 14 days and 2 hours of gameplay window. So you both have to
It's time for a little blood.
you both have to let's go ahead and do this. That was probably a waste of the coin, but whatever. You both have to get the automatic refund, which I assume there's also a non-automatic refund. And this is for digital Xbox and Windows 10 purchases. You, in 14 days, have to play less than 2 hours, which is fair enough. It is worth pointing out that this isn't just Steam doing this and causing competition to do it, which that is part of it. This is actually consumer protection from Australia. And it's a great, yet another great example of just why the United States doesn't have enough consumer protection, in my opinion, and other countries are forcing United States companies to do better. So, thank you, Australia. Although Australia does have some problems with video games, that's not it completely. Let's see. The Clashing Cow says live W chat. Which, live chat? Okay, yeah. If you chat, we'll chat. That's what I said. That's what I meant.
Strike.
And see. So, the automatic refund thing, I imagine we will see Sony follow course. I imagine Amazon's service will follow course. And once we have, like, Amazon.com doing somewhat similar for their game launcher at least, maybe not their entire website, and let's see, whenever menu takes damage, gain this.
The blade be thirsty.
Who can we kill?
Strike.
There we go. I'm doing a lot of things that are playing cards, but not getting very far there. Yeah, I imagine after Microsoft and Sony and probably Amazon all follow suit with automatic refunds, because they all see the writing on the wall that Australia is going to just force them to do that anyways, then they're going to, after that point, add the refunds. It's a good move. More refunds happening. This also maybe in the long run kills short independent games that aren't that good. I still think that most people aren't going to bother to even go through an automatic refund if the game is good and they actually have any reason whatsoever they want to keep it. There may be a young contingency of people that are given a small allowance on Steam, or people from much poorer, impoverished countries that would see getting refunds as a way of counterbalancing how much they spend on services. But all of the services have said also that they're gonna keep a keen eye on this automatic refund system, and it's not designed, right now at least, to encourage people to trade in things after trying it for 2 hours. I wouldn't be surprised if eventually it comes straight down to somebody releasing services or adjusting their services to say specifically that actually, yes, you can just play as many games as you want for 2 hours and we'll refund it automatically. And then it would become this almost like Netflix service, except for more expensive by far. And we've seen things like that already. Let's see, let's just play this. And this, I should have played this card while I was here, because I might lose. And all I'm trying to do right now is play cards, and this deck that I'm playing is a 0% win ratio, which tells me that it's not worth playing. And see, that's kind of why I would need, well, no, that doesn't even help me either. I would need to just be looking at the actual other app, the main window of Hearthstone Deck Tracker, so I can look at the stats and the decks. There was a news article that said Overwatch matchmaking is making MMR changes less aggressive, and I'm looking at this article and I'm saying to myself, what's MMR? When you're writing a news article, you have to explain things like I assume maybe that's matchmaking ratio, something like that. It's some kind of matchmaking ranking or something, if I was to guess. But since the title of the article didn't tell me, and I scrolled down in the article, that didn't tell me. A Nintendo Direct live stream is happening April 12th. This is one of those almost not news stories, frankly, because while it's an announcement of an announcement, it is also open to the public versus what you normally have, or what I normally see in examples like this is
Strike.
they announce that they're going to announce something to not the public but the newspapers, and then the newspapers write a story about that announcement that the newspapers themselves are going to announce later. And that's certainly a different thing. A small patch came out to Zelda Breath of the Wild to patch infinite arrows and the Wolf Link amiibo giving 20 hearts. Now it only gives like 3 hearts. So that's certainly something they've done. Here we have some fake news. Star Wars Battlefront 2 trailer was quote unquote leaked. I'm just gonna come out straight and say it's fake news there, because these trailers are not getting leaked. They are intentionally being leaked because that is a better way for the newspapers to write a story about it, and it is a better way for the video game publishers to get the message out. Like, the thing about a trailer is there's very little reason why you would not want it out as soon as it's done. So the only way you could tell me these days that a trailer was actually leaked and that anybody actually cares that it came out early is if it was a unfinished, halfway done trailer and the video and the audio in it was all messed up and ugly and stuff, and that's just not how it's done. So the idea that it's leaked yet there's complete security and we've never seen an unfinished trailer come out, yet as soon as it's done and it's around the time that the game should be announced, it gets magically leaked is ridiculous. This is perhaps conspiracy theory, in a sense, but on my part. But yeah, I don't believe it. I think it's just fake news. I think it's clickbait. People won't apparently click on links that say this trailer is out, but they will click on links that say this trailer was leaked. Moving on in that element, the Overwatch Insurrection trailer leaked too, quote unquote. From now to May 1st, there's this PvE / co-op mode going on. So if you're playing Overwatch, that will be interesting. Uncharted The Lost Legacy is coming out August 22nd for not PC though, I don't believe, so that one kind of sucks. If only I had a Wind Fury left. I should have lost by now, but he's letting me play. This will be our last game for this recording. And see, we've gotten about a third of the news done, and that's about right. This may very well be a short thing. I've already said that. That's good news for me though, because I have some motivations, or at the very least I have some aspirations to record a lot of video. I'm trying to get Borderlands 1 completely finished, and I'm certainly having a weird issue there because I think I've mixed a lot of what was in Borderlands 2 in my mind into Borderlands 1, and so I might be a lot closer to finishing Borderlands 1's main story than I think, which would be fine because I would like to play Bayonetta, although there is a problem. Like, Bayonetta did get announced, it's out on PC, but it is also published by Sega, so there might be that slight problem where Sega does the content ID thing. Sega and Nintendo have been known in the past, and Nintendo still consistently uses content ID, so I don't know if I would start playing that game and realize that like none of it can be aired, it's all going to be blocked, or if it's all going to be monetized by Sega, or what might happen there. There is also a slight argument that I'm too late now. If I was going to play the game, I should have live streamed it as soon as possible. That is technically true. Like, you need to get the game the second it's out and live stream it to get the most amount of views as you can. And so by the time I even purchase the game and start playing it, it'll be old news, and if I try to schedule anything, it'll be really old news. But it runs beautifully on PC with just maybe a couple places with some issues that I think maybe one patch would fix it. And also MSAA doesn't seem like it does anything. So the anti-aliasing right now doesn't seem like it's doing anything. I'll talk more probably about Bayonetta because I am motivated to play it. I don't know if I really have time to play it though. Well, we've made actually a considerable amount of progress here. Like, I play a couple of mage games, a couple more warrior games, and we'll be done with all the daily quests. And then if nobody has any comments or questions that they put in the chat, we'll be done for today. If you're watching live, please stay tuned. Otherwise, as always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening. Testing, testing. Just want to make sure I've got the audio going on right now, so I'm looking at the stream. That would be really embarrassing if I did that. But I imagine it is going to happen one of these days. I'll probably stream for an hour and 30 minutes and nobody will even be able to hear me. But it looks like it's working right now, so good. Hey everybody, this is Rydo. We're playing Hearthstone and we're streaming live on April 12th at the same time. So you're either watching it live or you're watching a recording. We're doing the daily quest. We have 3 more. I need to do just 53 more damage to an enemy hero, play 10 more warrior cards, and play 48 mage cards. And then that's it. Like, we've already done the Tavern Brawl. I really don't have a reason why I want to do an arena run right now. So, we are pretty well set. So, hopping into this, but we just need to find a mage game. And I'm playing right now ranked because there's no real reason not to play ranked. If I lose ranks, oh darn. If I go up in rank, that would be nice. I'm still certainly not focusing enough on ranked play or building decks to win in ranked play that I'm probably going to get any further for it. Ooh, I am noticing there's a problem with this mage deck. It doesn't have any mage cards. This is a Battlecry deck. Well, I may be in trouble then. Like, I may not have a mage deck that has any mage cards. Which means I'm going to have to consider either getting rid of things or failing the quest and changing it.
Nice to meet you.
This adds a random mage spell to our hand. But no, there's a couple of these. Deal 2 damage at 1/1 elemental to your hand. There we go. Let's see. Nintendo is offering up to $20,000 for Switch vulnerabilities, which, from my perspective, is a good amount of money to offer there, compared to the $500 that you were being offered from Conan Exiles, an example, which I thought that $500 for a vulnerability, it's probably, you could make more money if you're ambitious enough to hold on to that vulnerability and exploit it yourself or sell it to somebody that could use it. Now, arguably, a vulnerability in general against the entire system is much more valuable and dangerous to have out in the wild for Nintendo than a vulnerability in a single game. That being said, any vulnerability in the game, in any specific Switch game, might very well turn into a way of rooting, unlocking, homebrewing, hacking, whatever you would call it, or whatever you would actually do to the entire system. That certainly is how the Nintendo Wii was hacked. Is you would play a certain game. I know this, frankly, from my own experience. you put in a certain
Job's done.
game, you load a certain save file for a certain game, and then all of a sudden you can put a new homebrew channel on your Wii. And then that homebrew channel allows you to simply place any other apps you want in the on the SD card memory or whatever it was, and then you could have many things and do many cool things. Let's do this, this, do this.
I'm warning you. I'm unstable.
Add a random mage spell to your hand. I think I'm gonna have to do that. Mirror entity, okay. So yeah, $20,000 for a vulnerability on Switch. Hopefully they don't get all the vulnerabilities though, because I'm looking down the line on. I'm trying to replace my tablet. I have a Nook HD Plus tablet, and I'm trying to find something that would be relatively cheap, but much more powerful. So something that's older, but not as old as the Nook HD tablet, which is pretty old. And I was even thinking just last night, what if I just put like a Raspberry Pi in the tablet? And that wouldn't quite work because the circuitry in tablets are frankly just too small. So what do I want to do here? Do I want to kill this guy? Or this guy? Or this guy? I guess I should kill this guy. That way that happens. So yeah, a Raspberry Pi is too tall. Yeah, I would need some special thing that was very flat that would also allow me to almost solder things directly next to themselves versus soldering things slightly on top of one another. I think even the width of the wire from one connector to another connector might be almost too much. Plus, a Raspberry Pi 3 is not faster than a Nook HD. It's not this all-in-one finished thing. And that's another weird thing about it. Let's see. This
Job's done.
in the turn. So
Well played.
how that relates to Nintendo Switch is I would like to see a way to route that and put it's running BSD Unix on it. Like, is BSD Unix or is BSD its own thing? It's running BSD, whatever. But a special build of that, and BSD by itself is kind of even more obscure than Linux is as far as finding apps and particularly games or anything to put on it. So the first hack I would want to see on a Switch is, can you hack this thing and turn it into an Android tablet? Because then you take it from a low level, sure you can program this if you know how to program at a very, very low level, to just, oh, this will run any Android app that you put on it, which is a lot easier and more realistic to do. If they could hack it to run Windows, the Tegra processor in the Switch in particular is probably a good one to do it. You know, it can handle graphics to a certain extent much higher, than probably most hardware. You know it can probably handle Windows pretty well. You're not going to do 4K gaming on it, something like that. The controllers and the connectors that are on the side of the Switch, the Joy-Cons, are a bit of a problem. The battery is a bit of a problem. Maybe if you got Linux on there, that you could do some ultra power savings just through settings. But right now, it seems like it would be easier and better just for me to start thinking about replacing the battery on my current thing. My current Nook, because then in that process I've got an all-in-one device that's already working for its needs. That being said, I was also messing last night with my Nook Touch Simple with Glow Light, and there's several different versions, and I have like the newest version, which is the BN RV or VR 500, which is kind of impossible to hack. It has an e-ink screen, so I was thinking, you know what, you probably would be better off just taking all the internals out of that. I mean, it is running Android, but there's no way to connect to it. There's no SD card in this model, and it doesn't seem like it has any USB debugging options, unless somebody knows and they could tell me in the comments if you know how to turn that specific model into USB debugging. But it seems like nobody has been able to do anything with it. And the one thing that it needs done to it is just the fact that it has 2.5 gigabytes of space, but only 500 gigabytes of space are formatted so that you can access it when you plug it into a computer. And 2 gigabytes of it are internally probably encrypted partitions that are for buying books on the Barnes & Noble store, which I don't even know if it exists anymore. It seems like it still works, but I don't know. Like, so it's a very cheap device, and I have it sitting around, and either I'm just gonna wait to see if a hack ever comes out, which probably isn't since it's a pretty old device, or I'm gonna get really ambitious and attempt a project I'd almost certainly fail at, which is to replace all the internals with a Arduino unit or Raspberry Pi, which I've not attempted any of these things, so I'm getting rather ambitious in my thoughts of how I would even start my first project with a Raspberry Pi, which is something I'm not unfamiliar with. I've always been very ambitious with computer things like that, and it's often bit me in the keister, and so I need to be aware of that and not go crazy. The other thing, I don't know if I even mentioned it, is that as I was seeing if you could get a PlayStation Vita and put like an Raspberry Pi in it. And the difference for people who aren't very technical, an Arduino is a 16 megahertz cheap computer controller type thing that's for small simple projects, whereas a Raspberry Pi is more of a computer based thing that you can actually put an operating system. Arduinos don't really have an operating system on it. Raspberry Pis you can put an operating system on, and they're much higher in their just processing how many megahertz. That being said, they're still only about 12 like 1.2 gigahertz processor, so they're not a 8-core 3.5 gigahertz Intel thing that you would put in a computer, but they 1.2 gigahertz for limited use would certainly work, particularly when you're driving an e-ink screen, because the e-ink screen doesn't have the refresh rate on a Nook reader anyways. We have Rhino Star 101 saying hi. So, hi. I guess I can type back hi, and that's about it. So let's see, can I win here? Charge battle cry. I'm trying to play mage cards, unfortunately, and there aren't enough in here. So yeah, I've been, instead of recording videos for video games and being a video game critic, I've been messing with things, trying to see if I could hack that Nook reader, and there's no real reason, no way to do that as far as I can find, which is a shame. I really want that space back, but even with 500 megabytes, when you're just putting ebooks in it, an ebook by itself is usually only a megabyte, maybe 10 megabytes if it's a really big book with pictures. So just filling up 500 megabytes, I have like 38 pages of books, and you can use the program Calibre to have a much bigger library of ebooks and move it around, and move things in and off. You certainly, as long as you're slightly careful, can have it completely full of several months of content before you would need to replace it. Yeah, and I have no other mage deck. So I've made a mistake here. I need to play 50 mage class cards. I don't have any mage deck other than this one that barely even has any mage class things in it. So this is supposed to be a Battle Cry Elemental thing, and we need to change it. So let's look here. Let's see. New comments. This is bad timing, but do you want to play some now? Did I even get your friend request? Well, I've just run into a thing. As the way this is always going to work for everybody, just to be fair and just to save me time, is that anybody that wants to play is going to have to stay around till the end of the stream. That's just how it's got to go, because I need to get the daily quest done. That is the most thing. So because of that, if you're still around and you still want to play, and that is the friend request I just accepted, I will bring it back up at that point. So I need to just get rid of the elementals in this deck. We built it, but the truth is I need mage cards more. So we have add 2 elementals. Can we get rid of anything else before we get rid of elementals? No. So we'll get rid of this one and this one, and then this, and draw a secret from your deck. If you control secret, deal 3 damage. If you control the next secret you play, add a random spell to your hand. We'll get rid of this Death Rattle Elemental, and we'll add some random spells, and we'll do this one. Battlecry gain +2/+2 if an enemy is frozen. If you play an elemental, discover an elemental. If your deck has no duplicate, the next spell you cast spell. Summon a random thing. Alright, here we go. Get rid of that for those two. Cast a random spell that costs 5 or less. We'll get rid of that one because that's not even an elemental. Discover spell. So I'm gonna discover more spells, which this is gonna help with this. And I think that's probably as much changing as I want to do right now. So let's play. And here we go, back into this. So yeah, Rhino Star, at the end, if you're still around, I'll play you, but we gotta get through all the daily quests first, maybe not all the news. So speaking of almost news, but not really news, PC Gamer is doing a week of Japanese games. They did one article of games that from Japan they want to come to PC. It's not really too offensive, and it's kind of just an opinion piece. There's really no reason, though, that you specifically would right now write an article about Japanese games. Like, so it's not news. It's more like a magazine article. It's just this opinion piece that they've decided to do, which I guess I can forgive it. Maybe because I like Japanese games too much. Maybe because I haven't been super irritated by PC gamers. I mean, it's not clickbait, really. They are doing what they're saying. It's just what they're doing is not really related to anything that's happening right now.
Welcome to the exhibit.
Japanese Golden Week is about to happen, so if they were trying to coordinate it around that, that would make sense. But then you're coordinating your English website to target a non-English speaking audience of Japanese people who have a week off of holidays. So that's not your audience. Let's see. Platinum Games has said they want Platinum Games, the makers of Bayonetta, which is now on PC, and I'm super psyched about that. They've said that they want
Can I light your fire?
all their games to come to PC, but it's the publishers. And see, that brings on a very interesting topic to think about. It's like, so you make a game and you can't publish it yourself. You don't have the connections. You don't have the money to spend on the advertising. Maybe over 50%, maybe as high as 80%, maybe even 90% of all of the money spent on this game will be advertising, if we were just to guess. Like, I don't know if any of that is actually true, but it's possible. It's certainly possible that that has happened in the past. So then you sign a contract for a publisher to be the exclusive publisher, you would assume, for at least certain consoles or platforms, or a certain amount of time, or something like that. That publisher is trying to make as much money as possible for you and themselves. So there's really not any conflict there, unless they were doing, I don't know, getting some kind of kickback or something for like doing Xbox exclusivity or PlayStation exclusivity, and if they were getting a kickback, almost certainly that incentive, as it would be called, which is pretty much a kickback, would be shared between the game makers and the publishers, but maybe not. Maybe there are some shady publishers out there that get a lot more money and then do very little work on there. One of those publishers arguably is Gearbox, because they certainly don't know what they're doing, and I'll talk about them a little bit more, although we've already talked about them a lot. We end up talking about them a lot. Anyways, so you get in bed with this publisher, and then the publisher probably can make you more money if you get exclusivities. One would have to assume exclusivity actually works, because otherwise people would go full every single console. Of course, a lot of this is negotiated and thought up at the beginning of production, because if you know for a fact that you're going to only have the resources to program one version of your game, you might very easily say, I want this to be a PlayStation exclusive, because you don't have the resources to do that. And Sony may very well pay you a little bit of extra money and promote your game a little bit more because it's an exclusive. On the other hand, it might be that you're making this game in an engine that could easily port the game to Xbox One, PlayStation 3, Switch, and the PC easily without any extra effort, or very little extra effort. And because of that, you might find that that the publisher is negotiating for exclusivity at kind of against your wishes, or otherwise. So for Platinum Games, Sega is the publisher of Bayonetta, and they're kind of putting the blame on Sega and saying, well, Sega didn't want it on PC. Arguably very believable. Very few Sega games are on PC, and when they do come to PC, they're not the best of ports. Maybe that's all changing now. Maybe this is the beginning of it. Platinum Games just sold Nier Automata on PC, and I think that probably opened up a lot of people's eyes in Japan as far as let's see, as far as games that there we go. Games selling on the PC, because in Japan in particular, people don't have PCs, but that might be changing too. So it is the publishers, I guess, in a sense. I kind of feel like the developers though need to push harder for PC releases, and I don't think was happening until just recently. Let's see, this will be the last game for this recording. There's not really a lot to say here. For the first UK case is coming up for a British terror hoaxer / swatter. So this kid or person, I don't know who it is, tricked some United States Police Department to think that something really horrible and dangerous was happening at another player's house, and the police showed up guns blazing, as they have a tendency to do in the United States, and it's a major problem that needs to be addressed more. And because the police were tricked, they ended up shooting this innocent player, or relatively innocent player. Well, in this accusation, at least innocent. I guess I shouldn't attribute innocence to anybody these days. So this guy was got shot because somebody was swatting terrorists, and that certainly is why I don't want to dox anybody. And I don't want to dox myself. I don't want to dox anybody else. I don't want to give out information, if you don't know what dox means, about anybody that friends me, anybody that plays me, because there are immature and just malevolent, bad people out there, to use smaller words, that would like to use that information and think it's just funny to send police to other people's houses and try and get them hurt or arrested, which is completely unacceptable and wrong. That actually swatting is one of my major concerns in doing this. It's like, it goes, the three major concerns are getting sued for copyright infringement, content ID stuff, because I've seen lots of examples of the automated content ID happening. Getting YouTube just completely changing its rules around and getting banned from YouTube, which honestly is not as bad as getting sued for copyright infringement. And then being swatted is probably number 3, because it's unlikely to happen, but if it does happen, it's very bad. And so, like, that's right up there as my 3 major worst case scenario things that would happen. Well, if you're watching live, stay tuned. Otherwise, as always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening. For the stream, I'm going to be back in just a few minutes, so I'm just going to take a quick break. Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are back to Hearthstone. So we have a considerable still amount of stuff I need to do, but we might be able to get it done. We need to play warrior class cards and do damage to the enemy. So come over here and just play this in Rage deck and we'll just see this work. Moderate amount of news, not a huge amount here. And then we're gonna be kind of done with the live stream recording part. Is if anybody's still on and wants to play me, then we'll certainly do that at the end too. So Double Fine's Game Jam Amnesia Fortnite winners were announced. The winners were Kiln, a game, which I'm not even going to try to describe these games. They were all very short pitches of games. I don't think that they even really did too much to actually make the game. Unlike other game jams I've seen, it seems like these were more pitches and ideas of games more than even spending 48 hours to program a game and see what you could do. And I'm not sure, but it kind of felt like they were all Double Fine employees making pitches. So this is almost like a public version of Double Fine just telling its employees, if you have an idea for a game, pitch it now. But the winners were Kiln, The Gods Must Be Hungry, Darwin's Dinner, and I have in the game called I Have No Idea What I'm Doing. All decent choices from a very poor selection of pitches, honestly. Like, I can't hate on any of the things they picked. There certainly were worse games that were pitched, and there certainly were games that were much more niche that might have been interesting but didn't probably in their pitch phase deserve to win. It's more kind of in the implementation phase, I would say. Something like that should occur. Let's see, can we somehow pull this around and win?
Strike.
And let's
Strike.
do this.
Job's done.
And in the turn. Pokemon Go is still pulling over 65 million active users. I'm not sure how you universally define active users, but if you just take it on the face value, then there's still a decent amount of people playing Pokemon Go, which is not surprising because if you get kids on it, they're going to be into it for at least a year. Like, if you get them a phone that does Pokemon Go and they're interested in doing that, they're going to do it until the next big thing comes out, which is going to probably be around Christmas. Wow. Talk about an amazingly good card to bring to the hand. Mass Effect pirates, people who pirated Mass Effect Andromeda, I guess is the better way of saying that, won't get the updated faces because they also put in a new version of Denuvo that hasn't been cracked yet, which, you know, that's all kind of just a matter of time, and that's all Denuvo, the anti-tamper DRM software. It's more of an anti-tamper software, is what they say, and it's true. It's not about digital rights management. There's no digital rights in it, really. But yeah, Denuvo is just there to slow down pirates so people don't get the game within the exact same time frame as people who purchase the game, but it almost always gets cracked, if not running 100% of the time it gets cracked. I guess the only time it probably doesn't get cracked is if some company uses it to make a game that nobody wants to play. Bank of Canada had a website announcing their new $10 bill with the Konami code Easter egg on the website. It barely really news as far as video games there. That doesn't heavily relate to much of anything. But it is certainly something that we can... something I can mention because I'm low on news. In fact, we're probably going to wrap up here, even if at the end of this recording, not at the end of this game, but just because I'm going to be out of the news, and so then I'm going to, as far as recordings end and then live stream, I'm just going to play and try to finish any more quests. That it is now going to be kind of a new standard that if I run out of news before I run out of quests, then I am going to live stream only and not release the footage in HD of doing the rest of the quests. This may mean when I'm live streaming, it may mean that I just go quiet if there's nobody talking or nobody interested, or I go a lot more quiet, or maybe go completely quiet. Like, I have in the past had so much to do as far as daily quests that I sat there for a considerable amount of time just in silence.
It's time for a little blood.
But more recently, somebody has always come on. Somebody has always wanted to do something. It also pushes the live stream longer, though, because if people want to play me, I still need to get the daily quests done, even if I'm not recording and covering the news. So now there's 3 different tiers of things I'm doing. I'm doing pre-recorded episodes and covering the news and trying to get the daily quests done. And then doing live streams to do the daily quests. And then I'm also at the end there trying to play anybody that wants to play me in the same idea. So this is only going to end up costing me more time as far as playing Hearthstone. Moving back onto news, there was a rumor of a new Knights of the Republic KOTOR game being made by BioWare Austin, and it was pretty much definitely denied. Like, it wasn't one of these scenarios where they don't content on innuendo or rumor. They specifically said, yes, we know somebody in BioWare Austin was working on this game, but it hasn't been greenlight or allowed. So that's about as solid a denial as you can make, is to admit, yes, people were toying with this, but we're not going to make it.
Back to work.
Let's do this one instead. We need this. We need this. We need this. And this. In the turn. So, yeah. I don't know particularly what the most recent Knights of the Republic game is. And with Disney owning Star Wars now, I imagine everything is just on pause until they get some more thoughts. The only company that didn't get put on pause was EA doing Battlefront, and I think that's almost certainly because there's not very much story, if any story, really being said in the Battlefront universe. So let's go ahead and do this and this. So next story, this could slightly affect me, and it's certainly might affect Captain Sparkles, who did a long blog video about it too. The Pocket Edition and the Windows 10 edition of Minecraft, that's not the Java edition that gets the newest updates and has all the newest feature, and it's the edition that most people play incessantly, or if you're going to play it. The only people that really are going to play the Pocket Edition or the Win 10 Edition are little kids that for some reason aren't allowed to play the other, the Java Edition, which that would be just a misguided parent, honestly. The Pocket Edition makes sense if you're playing it on a tablet, too. And yeah, I imagine a bunch of little kids would be playing on a tablet more than playing on a PC. But those editions, those lesser editions, are going to start introducing this marketplace and map trading, selling marketplace, so people can make maps and sell them via microtransactions. Which I think, if anything, that if I was a parent in that situation, I'd say, well, you're not playing that version of Minecraft anymore. The last thing I'm going to do is let you play a game where you can do microtransactions that would cost me money. And frankly, that's not the edition you would want. Again, the problem here is it's like it has all the problems of the Bethesda selling mods thing. There's going to probably be no verification that the maps that people are selling aren't stolen. There's probably not going to be any quality control. And you have, while we do have a decent level of quality of map makers in Minecraft, they're really not that good. Like, the vast majority of maps that are made are bad and never seen and never spotlighted by people like Captain Sparkles. A lot of them are just find the hidden button, do this dropper map. Similar things like that. It's not amazingly cool things like the Code 1, 2, and 3, which were 3 maps that were really good. So there's a lot of issues there, and it gets down to a weird thing I want to say, where I honestly don't think they should be paid for their work in making maps. I just don't think it's a community that can have that. When you're making a Fallout 4 mod, you're really in some kind of editor. You're really doing something. You're really making programming. And if you were telling me like some of the mods on Feed the Beast were going to become paid, so that would be one thing. But if you're just saying, well, I made this map and it has a house in it, I don't think that's enough for it to be worth anything. And frankly, I don't want it in the Minecraft community. The Minecraft community has been heavily about sharing stuff. Honestly, if there's one guy who makes Minecraft maps, and he came out with a game on Steam called Z Game. I don't know exactly how it's spelled, but it certainly deserves more attention than it got, and I feel like that's his real world effort to learn to make something in Unity should get paid off. And so that game is on for sale, and I would say if you can find it, play it. But even at that, what he created, Z Game, is a pretty simplistic game compared to most video games, and he's kind of the exception, not the rule. In similar ways, there's another person who's working with a team to remake like Zelda Ocarina of Time in Minecraft. Should that be sellable? I don't think Nintendo would be very happy about that. And they're spending a considerable amount of retexturing and mapping everything to look like that. But at the end of the day, it is kind of just blatant copyright infringement. And you can't get around that idea.
They fell off a truck.
And so you're going to have some of that too happen. So I just don't feel like it's inherently, I'm not explaining this well, but I think if you want to make money, you've got to make your own thing. Maybe you start Minecraft as a quick and easy way to draw things instead of using like a 3D world editor, like Blender or Unreal, or probably Unreal or Unity instead. But you probably should, even in your first prototype, be using either Unity or Unreal, because that's what you're going to need to use at the end to have a finalized product. And you're going to have 99% of the skill at the beginning to make a game before you even start. So if you're just making something in Minecraft and you've never made a program before, and you know like redstone mechanics and command block logic, that's not enough really for you to make anything interesting or good that is worth selling in my mind. There will be small exceptions, but this microtransaction marketplace idea is solely built around the idea of doing what am I trying to say here? It's solely built around the idea of selling the cheaper things, that just constructions. I imagine the marketplace will just be full of people who just, I built this house, I want 50 cents for it. I built this house, I want a penny for it. So I would imagine it's all going to be over $1. So here's this dirt house for $1. It's going to be so full of that even if there was good maps, they're not going to float to the top. And so it's just like a failed idea. It's putting microtransactions in the game that really can't afford it, particularly since Minecraft is built around creativity. Now there's 2 levels of creativity that they're saying they're saying that there is going to be creative people who just build for fun, and then there's going to be creative people that are going to be selling their creations for profit, or stealing other people's creations and selling them for profit, which I imagine is going to happen a lot. And as far as I know, as far as this decision by Microsoft is, it's not for mods. It's not like they're selling mods. It's only for builds. Now, I could be wrong about that. I could be totally wrong about it because I didn't look into it. But that's not good. It's not a smart move at all. Speaking of probably slightly smarter moves, G2A finally got back to Gearbox, and they're accusing them of defamatory statements and saying that they do everything that Gearbox was asking for already, which is not true at all.
Can I light your fire?
And the one thing, the API to allow people to mark keys as stolen or bought with stolen credit cards, they're definitely not going to do, and they won't change their business in any way. And they make at least an interesting counterclaim in their rebuttal to this. They're saying that the video game publishers don't want a secondary market at all for Steam keys. So this is the GameStop argument. It's like, yes, the video game sellers don't want used games sold, which it's slightly a different scenario there. There's a difference between selling a used game and then selling a stolen key, or a key that was bought with stolen credit cards. It's slightly different thing. But it is also true. Publishers would like to control all sales from the Steam key and for Steam keys, and frankly, Steam is going to accommodate them with that. I think we're going to quickly find out in a year or two that there will be no seller that has a buy now, no publisher that has a buy now button on their website. I bet none of them are going to be handing out Steam keys. I bet all of them are going to say, link your Steam account to the app, or click this button and it will just take you directly into the Steam app, Steam website, and purchase the game. Like, I don't think any publishers do want Steam keys being traded or resold. And Steam is working to get rid of that. So that will probably be the end of sites like G2A, or almost completely, because they'll see that their entire collection of Steam keys are going to be older and older and less desirable things, because none of the new games will have any Steam keys at all. So, I mean, it's a pretty good way to respond there, considering we kind of all knew that G2A wasn't going to do anything. Both sides are being pretty dishonest here. And they didn't wait they waited to respond until the deal was definitely dead, and there was no way that they might work something out. And this will probably go to a lawsuit of some sort that they'll try to. G2A will probably try to file against Gearbox, and maybe Gearbox will. I wouldn't be surprised. The way Gearbox runs its business, I wouldn't be surprised if they actually do end up losing the lawsuit because of some agreement they made in their contract that they might be slightly in breach of. Because they said they could back out at a whim in a contract, and I just don't know if that's exactly going to prove to actually be the case.
Job done.
But remember, also, they gave 30 days for most changes, 60 days for one change, and 90 days for another change. And I don't think GTA, unless it's being run by a lot more people than I suspect, because it very possibly is only being run by one person, maybe 5, 10, 20, maybe 100 people. Unless they've got a team of 30 or 40 programmers, I bet they couldn't have implemented what they wanted anyways. What's interesting is there was a tweet that came out. Randy Pitchford on April 10th claimed that he had just that week learned of G2A, and that it was all the publishers division. It was the publishing division, they're new. So he just squarely lays the blame of the company that he's CEO of on the feet of his publishing division, who apparently he's keeping no interest in and no oversight over, because he didn't even know that they were in negotiations earlier with G2A. And see, it just kind of makes it look worse. This is a terrible response. And it's more evidence that Gearbox is a terrible publisher, and I would never deal with them or have them be the publisher for any game unless years from now they actually get their stuff together. Because right now they don't know what they're doing. They're pretending like they're a publisher, and they're failing miserably at it. Instead of selling Bulletstorm as this missed gem that really never made a profit and wasn't that successful, they've now turned it into this huge controversy that makes themselves look bad. Which, I mean, it's just dumb. Chill out. Just bad PR. Bad public relations. And that's kind of Gearbox in a nutshell, is that they are much better at doing bad public relations than they are doing good public relations. So, two more things to talk about. One of them doesn't really have anything to do with anything. A Marvel artist for Marvel Comics has been fired for hiding pro-Islam propaganda in his art. Honestly, I think that's more just about them not wanting to be controversial and get boycotted, and them wanting to control the conversation and not have an artist go rogue and add elements that they don't know about. Because Miss Marvel is, I believe, an Islamic girl. And so they were more than happy, at least at that time, to have someone who is a Islamic character and have Islamic elements in their thing. I don't think it was playing a significantly huge part to the story, but it certainly probably played a major part. It's just like the control. That being said, too, they have, I believe Marvel was the people that just said that that their comics weren't selling these days because the fanboys don't want diversity or women in their comics, which is not true. The reason why their comics aren't selling is because Marvel has become more like DC, and they're doing constant crises and reboots, and they're not telling very good stories. And it's easier just to blame the fanboys, like the Ghost in the Shell movie. Blame the fanboys and the non-fanboys all alike. Everybody got to blame except for the makers of the movie. And something happened about that movie that actually, in the end of the day, turned out to be probably the best thing you could expect. Because that movie came out, and even though it was panned by critics and Japanese anime fans alike, the creator or the team has come out and said, we're going to make a new Ghost in the Shell series, which they probably were going to do that anyways. So maybe the millions of dollars spent on the live action Hollywood movie that was spent by somebody else in the end turns out to just be advertising for the next anime, which is certainly going to make the fanboys happy, I would imagine. Let's see. Am I gonna die this turn? Boy, it took a while for that to activate. And then finally, as a new story came out with the YouTube adpocalypse. I don't know why I keep using that stupid term for it, but it works, so I'll stick to it. And then I'm out of news. An entire channel has been kicked off YouTube now for being controversial. Which, honestly, yeah, channels get kicked off YouTube all the time for being controversial. But this is the signaling of a channel that was there and was allowed to monetize and was allowed to be on YouTube for a long time, and now they've been completely banned, like 100% banned. Not just what we'd seen before, you can't make money on YouTube, but we'll let you put your videos on YouTube. Now they've raised the stakes even more and said you can't even exist here. And that's even scarier. Like, it just gets scarier and scarier, it seems like, every time we do this. 2 damage, we'll not do that, so.
Nice to meet you.
So, yeah. And so YouTube seems to be freaking out still. I don't think they've stopped freaking out. And it's super two-faced, but it might also just be out of desperation. Because right now, when I see an ad on YouTube, all over every video I've been watching for about the past 3 days, if not an entire week, all the ads have been for an Amazon Prime show about Hugh Hefner Playboy. So there's several things to think about that. Like, first of all, Amazon Prime, clearly a competitor to YouTube. So they're doing an ad for their competitor, and they are showing a show about Hugh Hefner, which certainly Hugh Hefner Playboy I don't think falls under their restrictive guidelines if they were going to apply their own guidelines to themselves. So advertisers can do non-family friendly things, but the channels, the YouTube channels can't, is what they're saying. That's the message I'm getting here. And that seems incredibly two-faced. Incredibly two-faced. Maybe desperate, though. Maybe they did lose $740 million in ad revenue due to the Wall Street Journal attack on them, basically. So maybe they're taking as much advertising as they can get. I don't know. So we're in a good position here. I'm totally out of news, and I only need to play 8 more mage cards. And so that's easily done in the rest of the live stream alone. So if you're watching live, please stay. Otherwise, as always, this is going to be it for the recordings. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening. Okay, so this is live stream only now, so if anybody wants me to chat or talk about anything, put a comment down in the comments right now, because I don't have any happening. So if I don't see any more comments, then that will be one of the factors that causes me just to end this live stream. I do have to play the 8 mage cards remaining, and then Rhino Star has asked me to play, so if he's still around after I play the mage cards, that's it. Otherwise, if Rhino Star doesn't accept like a friendly challenge, which I'm not seeing anybody free right now, I can't really friendly challenge anybody. We can see Loki here is playing Diablo, so that's fine too. Honestly, I'm loving Loki, but this candle is burning bright with Loki too. He's been on the past 3 streams and having one daily break, like one stream break between, is great. Because yeah, this doesn't need to become the Loki show. If Loki wants to make his own, I think he might even have a YouTube channel. Yeah. So, but I certainly, if he popped in and said, "Hey, I want to play," I'd play him if Rhino Star's not around. But I don't want to turn it into another hour, if just for no reason. I've got a lot of Borderlands to play. I want to burn through Borderlands, and all the DLC, which is a lot of it, and then I want to think about doing Bayonetta. I'm waiting to actually purchase Bayonetta until Easter, which is not very far off, but my thought pattern there is there might be a Easter sale of some value that happens. Let's play this. This will mess up his idea. So, not really planning on buying a lot of games on Easter. Easter's not a big sale. The next big sale kind of is May the 4th, because then that's May the 4th be with you, and that's the best time of the year to buy Star Wars games, and I would like to kind of fill that collection up and have all the Star Wars games that are available. Deal 2 damage, add a flame elemental. I think I've probably played enough mage cards already, but might as well continue here. Having to do that deck change eliminated elemental cards, but right now there's been no announcement of any daily quests that actually require you to play elemental cards. There's still a decent amount of them, and we know there's a daily quest to do mage cards. See, and he may have quit too early here. Yeah, he did. I still need to play 6 mage cards. And we're not doing anything really on the ranked either. Like, I could play a little bit of standard ranked. I could do an arena run if I wanted to. But I don't think I would particularly do an arena run just on the live stream. Because if I do an arena run, I want it to be recorded. And right now I want to save the money. Like, after May the 4th, for Star Wars games on sale, you're then kind of, I think, unless there's something I'm missing, in the clear as far as Steam games on sale until the summer sale, which is a big time. And these summer sales have gotten worse and worse about actually giving you discounts, so that is a consideration too. But I don't want to go to a bunch of different stores. The Humble Bundle is one I do go to, and like this one that they just announced is Galactic Empire Games, and you got the first one for free just by putting in your email, and I was like, alright, I'll take it, but looking at that game, I don't think I would have played any of them ever. So those are just games that are not on high priority or ever going to be played. Deal 2 damage, add an elemental to my hand. Next turn I'll want to play this or some other elemental, so this works on the turn after. Not a lot happened this week. You can probably tell. Not a lot of news. It's about time that that actually occurred, though, because yeah, we running into this run of a lot of news in the live streams and making the live streams really long and longer than I would prefer them to be. And yet, somehow, if somebody was to look at my schedule as far as streaming and recording, they would notice that there's this odd case in which I streamed for 5 hours one day of Hearthstone and then played Borderlands for 3 hours after that, and then the next day I did no Borderlands at all and didn't record anything. So I've been a bad boy as it was and just not sticking to it. A lot of insomnia is still happening. A lot of like distracting myself doing other things that I'm wasting time on, probably. I think I'm trying to work towards the idea of doing a Lego set, since I have this small hobby of putting together the really expensive expert Lego sets after each expansion. That's probably the one day every quarter that I'm gonna record the most, stream the most, and after doing all of that work, rewarding myself with that seems like a good idea. Of course, I'm way too old to actually be putting together Legos, but I do the expert ones, so I pretend like it's that. I also have arthritis in my hand, so I can claim that it's more difficult for me than it would be a little kid. Yeah, I just want to do it. The cheap justifications is all that is.
Job's done.
But I have a pretty decent Christmas village set that I want to grow just out of Legos, and then I want to do a city set because they have these modular city buildings that they sell, and some of those sets are out of print and far too expensive, and some of those sets are feasible to get and still on sale. And then I have a Pirates of the Caribbean, the Queen Anne pirate ship that I just looked at. It's when I bought it brand new and it was on sale, it went for about $250, maybe even a little less than that, which is quite a lot to spend on pieces of plastic, certainly, but nowhere as expensive as the $500 that it sells for now.
Cooking time.
Lego sets that are the expensive ones are very expensive once they go out of print. Very, very expensive. So this is almost like the comic book collection style of things, where they do increase in value to other Lego fans. And so maybe one day I'll leave it to somebody and they'll become very rich, or maybe they'll just play with the Legos and take them all apart. I have the Ghostbusters firehouse and the Ghostbusters car because I enjoy the Ghostbusters enough to do that. I had a Ghostbusters firehouse when I was a little kid, not a Lego version, but just a regular toy version. And because of that, that was really me trying to recapture my youth. I never played with Legos actually as a kid. Like, I don't think I ever even touched a Lego as a child. I had Lincoln Logs, which were awful building toy, but actual Legos, no, I don't think I ever even saw one. So I can't say that I'm recapturing my youth other than I'm enjoying it. And eventually I plan on being ambitious and building things from scratch, but and I have done some modifications to some of the builds I've done just to make some changes. The thing I did after Journey to Unguru is there was a chess set where it's pirates on one side and colonial army UK like army men on the other side playing chess. There's a slight problem with the chess set though, in the fact that I guess they don't know this or they didn't think of this. You're supposed to have one extra piece for each side, for one extra of each type of piece, so that when you get a pawn to the other side and you promote a pawn to, say, a queen, a bishop, a rook, a knight, you can't promote it to a king, so you don't need an extra king. You're supposed to have an extra piece if you have a good chess set that is in your storage drawer, and then that pawn gets taken off, and then you put it back on. It wouldn't even hurt if you have a really good chess set to have an extra pawn in case you lose one. But because all of the characters are minifigs in the Lego chess set, there are no extra pieces. And there's really nothing you can do there. You're going to have to figure out like maybe a hat you could put on the minifig, or put something in their hand to indicate that they've been promoted. Because if you get a pawn to the other side and you don't have a second queen and you still have that same queen, then it becomes difficult to remember that. So actually, as a chessboard, it's not that great, but it does break down into a nice carrying case size, and
You want it?
that's certainly interesting. Let's see. How do we want to do this? Kill this guy. Play this. And attack here. Let's just kill this. So I did some modifications to the chess set. The chess set also has a foreground and background set with a very nice palm tree that they made out a very nice, interesting way. So there's kind of a desert, beachy section on one side of the chess set, past the edge of the chess set, and on the other side is a more watery island section. And I put some alligators that I had gotten in there, and I had a pirate flag that I had, so I added the pirate flag to the pirate section. So made a little bit of a change just there. Honestly, though, putting in the carrying case thing doesn't is a terrible way to display it. So I shouldn't have it like that. I suppose. Let's see. Do this.
Everyone, get in! Everyone, get in here!
Oh, who's a good boy?
I'll get him.
So yeah, it doesn't look very good. So I'm gonna break it out of its carrying case. Also, there's a problem with its carrying cases. They made it so you could put the piece under the chessboard. So the chessboard breaks into 4 pieces, 4 sections. You lift off those sections, and there's a little storage area at the bottom, which is good. What you would expect for any chess set, really. And in that storage area, you can get the minifigs. Sometimes you have to angle them a little bit so their swords or their guns, that their muskets they're holding, don't get in the way. So they're kind of tilted. and everything fits except for there's a throne for the queen and the king on both sides, and there are some rooks, castles that for both sides, and those are all way too big and don't fit. If they had made the base, the carrying section of the game, of it, one Lego brick, one average height Lego brick height taller, everything would have fit perfectly fine. But then they got cheap and decided not to do that. So I would have to find, I would have to special order extra pieces for it, which I probably will end up doing. That's not a big deal. Everything will fit otherwise, as long as it was just not so narrow in the width. So that's a modification they're gonna make. And then, of course, this was a pirate's theme, because Legos have themes, and yeah, I'm talking about Legos since I have nothing else to talk about. And everything else that was pirate themed has long since been out of, not available for sale for quite a long time, and out of production. So there is one pirate ship that would have been nice to get, but it's going for like, what's it, $800? Nah, it wasn't $800. It might have been $800 because it's so far out of print. And I was just looking on Amazon.com. You could probably get a lot better deals elsewhere, but yeah, that's never gonna happen, and that's what I figured. Yeah, it's fine. They'll probably come out with a new interesting thing. They always do, Lego. Lego is dangerously close to being like Beanie Babies.
Job's done.
Let's see, I should just win here. I've already done everything. I'll see if anybody's available. So if you're watching this guy, be ready. If you're watching Rhinostar, like, since the names don't line up at all, try to get ready. Otherwise, I'm gonna try to, I think, wrap up here.
Wanted, dead or alive.
And just end the live stream. Take back some extra time to go
Well played.
record other things. I also need to take some extra time to schedule things. I don't have a ton of stuff that needs to be scheduled, but I'm certainly not as caught up as I could be. And see, I talk to people directly on the comments. So if they're not watching the live stream, or if they just are not patient enough to know the delay between the live stream and when they type in the comments, I could get people certainly feeling like I didn't respond to them at all. Let's just spectate this guy. So I'm just gonna type in send me a challenge now. In case somebody is just looking, and then we're gonna kind of wrap up. Yeah, in the next 15 minutes, I would say, because I don't want to start another game, and if this guy who
Well played.
doesn't want to play me, then that's that. Did the audio just turn down? Feels like my audio just... This guy has a lot of different cards he's stolen from different people. Did he do a quest, I wonder? You can't look at the history any further than when you started spectating.
The spirits be restless.
This is an interesting
Well played.
steel cards deck. He's playing just a whole bunch of random stuff. Rogue versus rogue. And unless they want to comment or ask me to play more than one game, if this guy even wants to play me one game, that's gonna be it. So, like, we're not going super long in this live stream. And this is a great example of just interaction is key as far as the live stream, and I knew that, and I don't know if I'm particularly the best suited or skilled. Frankly, sometimes some of the ways I deal with people, because I have to be the person in charge when I really don't want to be the person in charge, I think back to it and I think maybe I was a little harsh, and sometimes I'm way under harsh, because people are taking of my time at some, and I have to put some value on that. So let's see. Friendly challenge, wild duel. Let's see if he wants to play. And where do we want to play? Let's see. We have wild duels and standard duels. Death's attack. Secrets beasts. Quest beast taunt spell. We'll just do that. How about that? So I'm playing a standard deck in wild play, so giving him an advantage already. And we're gonna just general rules here. See if we can let him win if he wants to showcase something. And I'll try to showcase something here too. And if he just wants to bash my face in and win, then that'll be the end of that. Also, so I'll let him beat me down if he wants to. I'll do it. I personally don't have anything to showcase here. I've built all my decks from the new expansion. I've shown them off as best as I could. I don't feel like there's much more I can do. Like, sure, in the course of gameplay I might find some new strategy or do something amazing, but right off the top of my head, I don't know. Like, I just don't know anything that I'd want to show off. This is the one where you have to play a bunch of characters that cost 5 or more attack. This is that pack. I haven't played this card, so that's something I'd like to play. And there's, as far as daily quests, none of that gets finished here at all. So it doesn't particularly help. Just go ahead and do this and this.
Job done.
Gain 2 mana crystals, draw 3 cards. Restore 6, summon a random 6 cost a
The
million.
blade be thirsty.
And see, we've gone about 30 minutes in this extra stream. This could have been an extra recording. Didn't really need to be, though.
For the wild.
So, the real issue here is I need all my other time slot things to be so far ahead to even balance out to the how far ahead I'm getting with Hearthstone. And I really don't know how to do that other than put my nose to the grindstone, record a lot of games. See, he's apparently gonna just beat me
This
right
jungle
here.
hides many secrets.
So I don't even. Here's the weirdness: is like I don't know if this guy is the same guy that wanted to play me. He may just have been somebody who wanted to be kind and accept a friendly request, and now he just kind of seems like he wants to be done with it because it looks like he's gonna take the victory right here, and he didn't showcase anything off, and I didn't really get to showcase anything off. So, so what was the point of this friendly battle? Really, it didn't really do anything else. That goes to show the difference of somebody who wants to showcase something and play friendly games versus somebody who doesn't. And so, like, there's no reason in the world I would send this friendly request again. Loki may have very well been a unique situation in which he wanted to show off his cards on my channel, and I was willing to let him do that, and it worked out well for both of us. But other friendly challenges, if you just want to beat me, it's not really, it doesn't take that much to beat me. I'm not that good of a Hearthstone player, so that doesn't really mean much. I guess the idea might be I should buy some Whisper of the Old Gods packs for buy like 50 of them. I could afford it right now. That's an interesting thought to look at, is like, of the Old Gods cards in crafting mode, how many am I missing? 1 legendary, 2 legendaries, 3 legendaries, 2 regular cards that are both epics, 4 legendaries, 5 legendaries, 6 legendaries, and another epic, 7 legendaries, 2 more epics, I imagine, 9 legendaries. See, and I don't think I would want to do that. I think I'd more prefer than there's multiple legendaries here, no less than 6 more. So you're somewhere around 13, maybe even higher, maybe 20 legendaries and epics that I would need just for the Old Gods expansion. And I don't think I'd particularly want those cards. And I don't think I'd particularly want the Guru cards. I think I'd rather just keep everything and buy maybe 100 packs in the next expansion. Alright, well, nobody else is online. There's really nothing else for me to do. So that's going to be it for the streaming. I hope you enjoyed it. Timing as always. Maybe one of these days I'll wake up early enough and we'll do this closer to noon my time. I mean, the other way I could do is I could certainly stay up one night and do it at like 6 in the morning my time. Let me know in the comments if anybody is really looking forward to something like that. Both of those would probably be very poor decisions on my part because I'd be groggy and even less, make even less sense. That's it for this live stream. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.